When it comes to interesting players that I kind of want to make off-season videos on, one of the people that I have just followed closely and definitely wanted to discuss is John Metchie, a former Alabama wide receiver who I remember loving his tape coming out of college and being very high on him. Now, I wasn't the only one. A lot of people really liked his tape, but he still wasn't a super hyped up draft pick, and he still kind of fell a bit in the draft and hasn't shown a lot. Why? Well, it's actually not really game related, and it's also not like he has off the field issues. So in his last game in college, he tore his ACL. That alone was tough and was going to kind of hurt him a little bit. That's part of why he was, he fell out of the first round and ended up being a second round pick, drafted at pick 44 with the Houston Texans. But that alone is what it is. Guys tear their ACLs all the time. Like, the Jameson Williams was still picked number 11th, right? Although he hasn't really shown a ton with the Lions, but you get the idea. Guys tear their ACL and are still considered pretty good. That's not considered a big negative. However, shortly after he was drafted, he was diagnosed with leukemia, which is a form of cancer, which is super unfortunate, obviously, and that kind of made football the least of anyone's concerns at that point. However, he was, fortunately, he is cancer-free now. He beat leukemia and has fully healed from his injury, meaning we actually got to see him play some football last year. He didn't show a lot. Right? He didn't have a ton of snaps. He only played around 300, 400 snaps last year. But now that you kind of have a full offseason to train, get back in NFL shape, because I have to imagine there's some rust there, I was interested in seeing, going back and watching his film and talking about, how good can he still be at the NFL level? Because it's not like this Texans receiving core is hurting for receivers, but if he could be another piece, that could be really awesome. So yeah, let's just get into the film. Actually, real quick, last thing before we do that, just wanted to mention that I do have a movie channel. If that's the kind of thing you're interested in, Jackson Kruger Movies is the title of it. The link is in the description if that seems like your kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, let's talk John Metchie. So let's start off with this play. What's going to happen is you see the route on the screen, right? It's going to be a route where he kind of fakes it though he's going towards the bottom of the screen and goes towards the top of the screen. We're starting off with some college films. I really want to show like his highlights in college were really good. Like watch how when this play begins, look at the shiftiness where you see him cut as though he's going towards the bottom of the screen. But then when he cuts back towards the top of the screen, he gets open so well. He was so shifty, and he really showed it off constantly in college. And it wasn't just like, oh, he showed some good route running moves. Like, he would do other stuff. For example, this, which is going to be just a wide receiver screen. So, a pretty simple concept, right? Just give him the ball, and hopefully it's blocked well enough he can pick up some yards. Well, when it begins, first off, it is blocked well enough that he's able to pick up some yards, although he's going to kind of run past one of the blockers here, which he maybe didn't have to do, maybe did have to do, but right here, there is a defender who can run over and try to make a tackle. However, watch Metchie blow by him, only gets a little bit of contact and eventually gets taken down, but the amount of yards he was able to pull off, able to gain there was certainly pretty impressive. And he had stuff like this, which is a zone coverage concept, and you see the route on the screen. It's going to kind of fake as though he's going more towards the middle of the field, but eventually going to run an out route. So, when this play begins, again, you're going to see that when the quarterback on this play gets the ball down there, look at the separation he's able to get here. Not just that, but when the defender closes pretty well, Metchie holds on and is able to make the grab. So, he could make contested catches, he could run by you, he was a great route runner. Definitely, there was plenty of reason to believe that he could be a great draft pick for the Houston Texans, which is why they decided to take him. When we get to the NFL, again, it hasn't, obviously for a lot of reasons, hasn't had a ton of opportunities to, really thrive here, but we have still seen flashes of him doing some really good stuff. So, for example, this play, it's a zone coverage concept, and you see where he is on the field. He's the one who I've circled in white as he's running kind of what appears to be a route that's probably not going to get too much going. It's going to be just like a curl route in someone's zone. Okay, that doesn't seem to be a great idea. Well, when this play begins, again, part of this is to maybe help set up other stuff, but I actually don't think this was the route. I think that this was by design to be doing something else, because you see him kind of, look as though he's cutting back, but watch how quickly he turns upfield, and he's going to get enough separation to pick up a good amount of yards right there. Again, this is NFL level defenders now that he's making looking like college level defenders. So while I'm certainly not going to sit here and say we saw a ton of this, we did see the flashes of this. And I think that's what you kind of hope for if you're a Texans fan, is could we start seeing more of this type of stuff? And also something like this, which is kind of more of like a regular play, because I think that for Metchie, in a large part, it's going to come down to, can he just find a role right now? This is a loaded receiver room, right? Like, he's probably not going to be a starter. Like, that's just not, there's too many, like, you're behind Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Stephon Diggs. That's difficult to get there. But can you find a role? And I think this is maybe a route that he can, work with and that can make stuff happen. Because A, there could just be injuries, but B, you have 4 wide receiver sets. You might just have, you're going to have guys rest, so you're going to go out on those plays. And the way this play is designed to work is it's zone coverage for Cincinnati, and one of the receivers is running a deep route, kind of trying to push defensive backs further deep, as Metchie runs a more over-the-middle route. So when this play begins, Stroud takes the snap, and he looks at Metchie, and it's getting cleared out pretty well. Like, this is going as designed. Therefore, Stroud hits Metchie as he kind of cuts nicely, and he's able to make the grab and pick up a decent gain of like 7 yards. It's nothing crazy, but like, can he do stuff like this, and then hopefully with that, get more playing time and start to do the stuff we saw in college, like get yards after the catch and things like that? I certainly think that's the upside for Metchie, in my opinion. So as a whole, is he going to be a good pro? Like, we still just haven't seen a lot from him at this point. Like, I'll say this. I don't think last year, if he was like an undrafted free agent who came in and did what he did last year, you're probably thinking nothing of him, I think. I think what realistically, if you want him to be successful, if you're hoping he can be successful, he needs to put on better tape than what he showed last year. Also, it's totally understandable that he didn't have great tape, because he wasn't just some undrafted free agent who happened to pop up. Again, he had all of these issues he had to deal with. It makes sense that he would struggle a little bit, but for him to really, be in this league for a while, I do think he is going to have to, he showed some flashes last year, but he's going to have to show those a lot more, I think, to get the consistency and to be a real piece. But like, is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. And if it does happen, no one would be like, could this possibly happen? We'd all, easily be able to figure out, oh yeah, it's because of the injury and then because of the, the diagnosis that like he kind of derailed his career. But now that he finally has been able to focus on football again, he's been good. We'll just see if it works out that way. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.